I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're diving into the transformative ideas of On the Verge of Tomorrow by Marc Rappaport. This groundbreaking book bridges renewable energy innovation with a speculative vision of our future, tackling everything from cutting-edge technologies to the ethics of AI. If you're curious about how energy and humanity might evolve together, you won't want to miss this fascinating discussion, and you won't want to miss this wonderful book. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. Marc, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Well, Logan, it's very good of you to invite me to be on your podcast and to record this, giving me this opportunity to express myself to more people and let them know progress has been significant. The conversion with photovoltaic cells is approaching over 20% conversion of sunlight into electricity. And that was a theory that Einstein postulated about the PV conjunction. I started the book years ago. As you may have noticed, I've been working in renewable energy for the better part of 50 years. And it's been my life's work.
And very, very important now. We're worried about global warming, climate change. We're worried about the scarcity of non-renewable energy sources. Talk to us a little bit about the potential of geothermal solar hybrids and how they could reshape energy production.
Well, that was something, hybrid system that I invented over 50 years ago. When I was examining the opportunities in geothermal, having grown up in Northern California, I'd been to the geysers. Fields like geysers, which are flashing steam, are fairly rare. The temperatures that the majority of geothermal fields have are under temperatures that generate power through typical turbine generators. Now, I'm going to try not to be too technical, but it was this idea that there are parabolic trough collector designs that can boost solar thermal energy temperatures with a working fluid to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. You can add that to the temperature of a geothermal field at 300 degrees, and you can come up with 450, 475 through heat exchangers, and that's enough to drive a conventional turbine generator. Systems for geothermal are not the size of nuclear plants. They're site-specific, and they really hold potential for many areas. Nevada has vast areas of geothermal, but they're not the hottest. Same with Southern California. So this was one approach I had to how to create more energy that was truly sustainable. There was one project that was retrofitted in Stillwater, Nevada by Enel, and it was a 30 megawatt geothermal plant. It was not meeting its contract, and in opportunity to meet with the engineers, director of Department of Energy Geothermal Office, I showed them the work that I had done years earlier, and they retrofitted that plant with solar thermal concentrating collectors and found an overall efficiency increase, as well as reducing the degradation of the geothermal field. Now, maybe this is getting a little too technical, but the theory has been proven at a commercial scale for utilities.
Yeah. And it could be a game changer when it comes to renewable energy, right?
Well, it really could be in the sites that it could be located, even when the geothermal field is looking at high temperature enhanced geothermal systems where they're drilling really deep, 10,000 feet or more. But when they get that deep, the water isn't there. And that's been an obstacle for decades. The other part of this
I'm sorry.
is these systems, as was demonstrated in the Lordarello field in Italy, can run for 100 years. And if you're doing reinjection, we're talking about minimal impacts to the atmosphere while you have very long-term sustained base load energy, which utilities really like.
Absolutely. Let's give the folks at home an overview of your book. What will they find when they crack the covers?
Well, one of the things I really tried to do was demonstrate, write about the things that I noticed I could do that everybody can do. So I changed light bulbs years ago from fluorescent incandescent to LEDs. For example, in the book, I described changing six lights in my kitchen from the typical floodlights to the LEDs. The six LEDs used less energy than all six. They used less energy than one bulb. And so, what people can do and see an immediate savings on their energy bill is converting to LED lamps. And of course, now they've advanced that technology. You can get them in coordination with your iPhone, and they produce colors, and they have white light and soft white light. So it's not all just bright light.
That
Another
made,
is,
go ahead.
well, another real simple thing that I wrote about is if you're in a southern climate, you don't want a black roof. Black absorbs heat. Paint your roof with a new rubberized uh, type of paint, a roof paint that is white and it reflects the heat. Simple. You maintain it at a minimum cost.
These are simple changes that people can make, and if everyone in the United States made them or around the world, they would have profound impacts on our usage of energy and climate change, right?
Oh, very definitely. I think I didn't put it in the book, but if you did a calculation on switching out the light bulbs like I did to six, you could save 50 pounds of burning coal by replacing one light bulb throughout a year.
It's amazing. Sometimes the big budget items are emphasized more than the simple fixes. The simple fixes go a long way because they're easy to do and easy to implement for sure.
Well, it's just like if people are driving their car and they don't pay attention to the pressure in the tires,
Yeah,
their tires aren't as efficient. So
yeah.
they want to optimize the air pressure in their tires so the car goes down this road
Oh,
more smoothly and
yeah,
more efficiently. It's just a
exactly.
few pounds of pressure, but it can save 10% in fuel usage.
Yeah. Same with reducing your speed. Don't do 80, do 55. Do the speed you're supposed to do. You're going to be saving some gasoline as well because your engine won't be revving as high, right?
Well, it's sort of, unless you have the modern engines that are so sophisticated that as you're at cruise speed, they stop fueling in all cylinders. They can run on half the cylinders. In some of the big V8s, they can run on four.
Amazing. Talk to us a little bit about the real world examples of energy policies that you explore in your book.
Well, some of the things that have slowed the progress is the disinformation and the really intentional disruption to science having its message heard in the larger public, which was sabotaged by the fossil fuel industry. And that has been going on for decades. In my book, I do list some of the books that discuss the history of why the fossil fuel industry had raised a question of climate change. So they didn't have to really begin to address the consequences on the global scale. Similarly, you have oh, instances where utilities were very slow and were only going to make changes when the PURPA law was passed. That's Public Utility Regulatory Policy Act of 1978. When that happened, it forced utilities to buy power from independent power producers. And that was a change, but utilities have fought it. California's finally come around to recognizing the economy of California is doing much better because they are able to have a great deal of renewable power. I think I've read something recently that they have a surplus of solar energy on various days.
Let's talk a little bit about AI, artificial intelligence. How does that factor into your vision for humanity's future?
Well, AI, as it's being touted, it's better to refer to it as a large language model.
Mhm.
And the computers, as they're so sophisticated and so fast, they have access because of the information that's been made available in large databases, can access and rewrite and recompose information swifter than people typically can. If they don't get it all right, it's not creative. Um, and this is a questionable process where we're going to look to AI to substitute for what is important for human beings to learn critical thinking skills. We have to have good judgment based on science and facts and truth. And there's not two versions of real science. There's hard science, and that tells us what the real world is, composed of. I mean, that's what's gotten us to this amazing elevated state of technology where molecular reorganization, or rather, organizing molecules onto the surface of a silicon wafer can create the 7 angstrom wavelengths of a pathway for electrons to travel, that makes the chips more efficient, as one of the examples, but it shouldn't be a substitute for what we have created and need to create as a society and a civilization that uses all our resources for the advancement of humankind's ability to foster its better angels, shall we say.
Do you think AI, obviously right now in its infancy, will evolve into a approximation of thinking, approximation of creativity by studying the minds of creative people and works that are out there already?
Well, we have one example, I think, that's in the New York Museum of Modern Art, where one of the artists created a model using AI to create visual images that are changing and evolving on a rotating basis. The question would be, is that real art? Is it really communicating a substantive experience to the viewer about their humanity and what they need to help them grow? And I think that's not present in the way people are using AI, and that's a problem. That's what I think.
It's a fascinating topic, as are all of the topics that you broach in your book. What do you hope readers take away from it?
Well, that there are things they can do, as I mentioned, just simple things, in that even if you live in an apartment in New York, you can subscribe to the Arboretum Foundation and have trees planted in your name. You can fund the planting of trees in various places that sequesters carbon. People need to know that it is the most efficient way that we have is using our natural environment to sequester the CO2. Uh, we are not cognizant enough is the impact of CO2 in the ocean. And my comment at this point goes to a friend of mine, is a chemical engineer who had been in the Navy. He's a nuclear tech. And he was skeptical about climate change and global warming until he realized, because of his experience at sea and seeing what happened to the chemistry of the oceans, killing the barrier reef of Australia and coral reefs, which are essential to the health of oceans and fish habitat, that swayed him that there really is climate change, there is global warming, and we have to really address it much faster than we have been. But it's going to take individuals doing the simple things initially, and the government has made changes sufficient so people can go out and acquire the LED lamps. Utilities here in the West, you could take in an incandescent light and get a substitute LED bulb to replace your old ones for nothing. So those are little things, but again, weatherizing your house, doing those things that reduce leakage, buying a can of foam and sealing up some of the cracks and being more efficient.
Change is big impact.
With billions of people on the planet doing it, it will have an impact.
Without a doubt. The name of the book is On the Verge of Tomorrow. It is a groundbreaking book that bridges the renewable energy innovation with a speculative vision of our future, tackling everything from cutting edge technologies to the ethics of AIs, as well as the simple changes you can make in your household that could save a lot and perhaps save humanity. Marc, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Well, thank you so very much for this opportunity to share some of what I have been passionate about for decades. There is a way forward as we pursue sustainable systems that are properly integrated in our communities. It doesn't diminish the community, but we can have sustainable systems with synergies. So you can have aquaponics combined with hydroponics, receiving thermal energy from biomass waste system plants in communities. And that'll be part of the theme in my next book.
Absolutely. Looking forward to the release of that, no doubt. Thank you so much for joining me here today and sharing your wisdom and insight.
Well, thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity.
Wonderful. Wonderful. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.